What's going on, Badger fans? Welcome to another episode of Locked On Badgers. Really stoked for this one. One of my favorite prospects in the 24 class, one of the people that I most requested, I had to see if I could get on the show, is going to join us today. We're going to talk about it coming up next on Locked On Badgers. Let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers. You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, Badger fans? Thank you for making Locked On Badgers one of your first listens every single day. Really appreciate y'all. Today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. And with that, let's just get into it, man. We got a great guest, and we always run out of time before questions with the great ones. We got Thomas Heiberger coming on the show. Thank you so much for joining us. The number one player in the state of South Dakota, 6'4". I want to start here. I got you listed at 6'4", 215.
Yeah, that's about accurate. I'd probably be a little under 220, but yeah, 215. That's about it.
Okay. Offers from Washington, Stanford, Texas Tech, Nebraska, Oklahoma. I want to start here, though. The thing that I remember the recruitment. I remember some of the athletic measurables. The thing that stood out to me is there was a recruiting story that Texas Tech basically offered. They offered you just taking a look at your arm wingspan and some athletic measurables. How accurate is that story?
That's pretty much what happened. Yeah. So I've been in contact with Texas Tech for just a little while. I mean, at the time I had offers from SDSU and NDSU. Two of the FCS schools, around me. There wasn't really, much else close. And so I had those two offers for a while, and I was kind of waiting. Didn't know really when the next, big thing was going to come. And then Texas Tech kind of started texting me, and they had asked me for, some videos of me doing measurables. So like wingspan, height, just video proof to show that like it's actually real. And then also a video of me dunking and a video of me doing a broad jump. And I basically sent that into like one of their, staff members, not even like a coach really. Didn't even really had any conversation with their coaches. And then like basically that night after I sent the videos, I got a phone call telling me that they were going to offer me a scholarship. So, I mean, that's pretty much how it went down.
I have so many questions with this. Like, first of all, what dunk did you pull off?
I basically just like was at the wellness center that day and just like did like a back scratcher almost, like just like a normal dunk. But yeah, that was it.
So, I mean, it's not even the football film. They just said this athlete is so good based off those measurables that we're going to offer you and figure out something later, but you're too good of an athlete to pass on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that really wasn't like the only school that had asked for like dunks and stuff like that to like showing off like your explosiveness, I guess. I think there was a few others that kind of asked like the same thing too.
So I got tested. A 39-inch vertical is what I've seen for you. 4.6 40, 10.7 broad jump. We were talking a little before the show. Is there anything, and you brought something up, but athletically, is there anything you can't do? Is there any sport you pick up and you're like, I can't do this?
I'd say the worst sport that I'm probably at is definitely soccer. I'd never played soccer growing up, so doing that, I always try to avoid any chance to play that sport because I'm awful. And then I also said earlier with you that I can't really shoot a basketball. When I played basketball, it wasn't really one of my strengths. I was more of a rebound and put it up in the post kind of guy.
Well, let me pull this question up then, because this actually segues really good into this question we got from Badger Days. Would you be the most athletic guy in your basketball team?
If I would play basketball this year, I would say maybe. There's one of my other teammates. His name's Dawson Sexer. Me and him are signing tomorrow, and he's signing to University of South Dakota, and he's a freak at everything. Playing football with him, he's a stud basketball player. He can jump so high too, so he's definitely more athletic than me on the basketball court. But I guess I'd take second place.
It's still pretty good.
Yeah.
So I had your coach on earlier this year, over the summer actually. I had your coach on. He talked to Coach Benedetto. That's not pronouncing that right, correct?
Yeah, Benedetto, yeah.
Yep. And one of the things he talked about with you was just the athleticism, the versatility. He could play you in a lot of different ways. I want to ask you about your senior year. Where do you think you got better this year?
I would say that I got better, not really necessarily on the field. Well, obviously on the field, but I would say just my leadership and especially my vocal leadership. Going from my junior to senior year, we lost a lot of talent, really, a lot of vocal leaders. And so I kind of had to step up in that way. A lot of guys, looked up to me being me being one of like the better players on the team and, a captain for our team. So I say I step up in that way. And then as far as on the field, I just felt more comfortable being, the older guy on the team. I felt comfortable on the field. I felt like the game just slowed down because it was my third year running that defense at my high school. And so I felt like the game slowed down for me and it made me a lot faster on the field.
Talk to me about the defense you guys ran, and where were you used most in that? What was your role primarily?
Yeah, so we run a 3-3 stack, and my role, I play inside backer technically, but I'll mug down on the line of scrimmage. I'll mug down, in between the tackles. I'm gonna get up on the line of scrimmage and get to that quarterback quicker. But in some different scenarios, sometimes I might back up and play 10 yards off the ball. Sometimes I might go down and play on the line in a 3-point stance. So I kind of just moved around in a lot of different ways in that defense.
Where are you best at, do you think? Just in your opinion, like, are you best on the line of scrimmage or dropping back and play more in that zone coverage? Where do you feel most comfortable right now?
Where I'm most comfortable is definitely playing on the line, mugging up, playing outside the tackle, and kind of bending around and get to the quarterback, and then also kind of mixing into some things in between the tackles as well. But I love blitzing. I mean, that's what I love, getting after the quarterback on those passing downs.
Yeah, that's what every linebacker wants to do, man. And one of the things I put on my board here, you can't see it right now, but I put linebacker U. What about that linebacker legacy at Wisconsin that maybe interested you?
Totally. I remember just getting recruited and, them showing me slideshows of all these dudes that they had in the past. And, inside backer, outside backer, it seems like they produce every year, no matter who's there, no matter who's coaching. So, that was something that I definitely want to be a part of, in the coming years. And I hope that someday that my name's, on that slideshow showing to the next generation to recruit.
Let me talk to you a little bit more about the leadership. You said that's a big area of growth for you this year. Is that something that somebody prompted you to do, or did you take that onto yourself? And then how did you – because leadership is a lot like anything. You got to work at it, right? So
yeah,
how'd you make that decision, and how'd you go about getting better at that?
Sure. So just kind of having some conversations with my coaches, too, before the year. I mean, I knew how I was going to be going into the season. Like I said, losing all that talent and all those, older guys that some of the younger guys looked up to. And I felt like I had even more pressure on me because of the player that I am, and people, looked at me to make plays. And, but yeah, I mean, I kind of felt like I felt like I was a vocal leader at sometimes, but also just leading by what I do, I think, is the biggest thing. I'm kind of a guy that's not really going to, go out on the field and talk away and talk to the players and even talk trash. I'm more of a guy that just kind of keeps to myself and gets the job done and do what I need to do. So I think that's something that I always kind of had. And then I just show that on the field. And I hope that some of those younger guys kind of looked to me like, hey, this guy knows what he's doing. He's going to get his stuff done and he's going to get out. And yeah.
How do you think your head coach would describe your game?
I would say that he gives that I would say that he says that I give everything that I have. During my senior season, I kind of did a lot of different things for the team, and I felt like I had some ups and downs through the years playing with injuries and just kind of things that were bugging me. But through the course of the year, I felt that I still got better and that I still gave everything that I had every single game. And some games, I may not have been doing, doing the best or making the biggest difference, in the game, but I definitely gave everything that I had. And whenever we needed to play, I tried to do my best. And, during the season, we also had some offensive struggles. So I had to, go over on offense and do some different things too there. So I just kind of, like you said, I just kind of just mold myself into the player that I need to be in different spots.
Well, let me ask you about that one, because I've always said playing hard is an ability. Not everybody can do it. Right. You say give everything I had. Not everybody has that inside of them. Where does that come from you? Is that from parents, coaches? Have you always had that?
I would say my faith in God and Jesus Christ. I feel like that's the reason why I play the game, is for him and for my family. And just like I've been gifted, the ability to play, and I'm going to give everything that I have because that's who I'm playing for.
That's awesome, man. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Come back with Thomas. We're going to talk a little bit about the recruitment. Why Wisconsin? Coach Mitchell, Coach Fickell, Coach Tressel. Who's he excited to play with in that 24 class, and who's he excited to play in the Big Ten as an opponent? We're going to talk about all that and more coming up on Locked On Badgers. But a quick break for our friends of the show over at eBay Motors. And again, it is a great time if you need car parts, coming up around the Christmas period, eBay Motors is the number one place to go for all of your car needs. They have everything you possibly need for your car. And it's what keeps your car alive, whether you need headlamps, exhaust kits, LED headlights, superchargers, roof racks, and more. It's all there on eBay Motors. Over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always get exactly what you're looking for with the eBay Guaranteed Fit. Your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. All the parts your car will ever need at the prices you want. Turn your car into an MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. All right, let's get Thomas back on and continue this conversation. I got some questions I want to get into here, too, from people who, again, knew you were going to be on. People wanted to submit questions. This one is from Probst. What about Wisconsin's scheme do you think is going to highlight your game the most?
I think that what's going to be biggest about that scheme is just kind of that mix between that dollar defense and then, kind of that original outside linebacker position. I'm really curious to see, where, Tressel and Coach Mitch see me fit in that. And I think that I can bring a lot of different things, both in that dollar scheme and that outside linebacker position, the traditional Wisconsin spot. So I think that just that versatility that I have is going to be big.
Well, let's talk about the coaches a little bit then. You mentioned Coach Mitchell, Tressel.
Mm-hmm.
What are they like? How meeting them, talking to them, what is that interaction like for you?
Yeah, Coach Mitch and Coach Tress, they've been big in my recruitment. I mean, they're just down-to-earth guys. They're going to tell you the truth. And I think the biggest thing about Coach Mitchell and why I want to play for him is just how big of kind of a trust guy he is. And that trust goes both ways. And I kind of felt that with him. The love goes both ways. But when I'm playing good, he's going to love me up. And when I'm, not doing something right, he's going to let me know. And I think that's what's going to, make me the best football player that I can be and the best man. So I think, through my recruitment, that's really why I chose Wisconsin, is because I truly felt that they were, the most down to earth, people that I was, meeting with.
Well, and let's go to that recruitment then. As those offers came in, right, it kind of came quickly for you. You didn't have a lot, and then this group came. You talked about being able to get to Madison several times. You also made a trip to Nebraska. Not good or bad necessarily, but what about Nebraska contrasted differently than Wisconsin on the visit?
Yeah, so like you said, like my recruitment really did go fast. I kind of felt like from the beginning, though, in that January of this year, Wisconsin was kind of always there. I remember getting a call from Max, like right when they had been settled into office and after they kind of finished up the 23 class. And I remember getting that junior day invite and getting there. And I kind of felt like they were always there in the beginning, which is really important to me and how they were early and they wanted me right away. And then, those offers came through, and Nebraska was also a school that I had visited. And I loved it there. I thought Nebraska was sweet. I really, kind of bought into Coach Rule and, what him and the rest of the staff had to say. And I thought that was going to be a spot that, I would come back to and would have been in my final decision of schools. And then I think it was the next weekend or maybe a couple of weekends later when I went back to Wisconsin for spring practice. And this was already, my third time being there, more than some other schools that I got offers from, plenty. And I just kind of felt like there was no need for me to wait. I enjoyed the trip more than I had in Nebraska. I kind of felt more of a bond with those coaches than I did in Nebraska. And, those recruiting guys, Max and Pat, were great. And then, Coach Fick and everyone that was surrounded me. I just felt like that it was really home for me. And I felt it in my gut that's why I chose Wisconsin. I just felt like there was no reason for me to wait.
Let me ask you this, because I hear from a lot of players that Max, Pat are awesome. They're incredible. They're recruiting guys at Wisconsin. What makes them different than recruiting guys at other schools? Because every school has recruiting guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say, Max is really a young guy, so, and Pat is too, I guess. But I can't say that without Pat. But yeah, I just felt like they were really down to earth too. I mean, those two dudes they're definitely like not fake. Not saying that other guys are, but they're really like going crazy every single day. They love their job, and so I think that's really what creates that relationship early on.
I was curious with this. You said you got that initial call from Max. He was the initial point of contact, you said, right?
Yeah, he was, I think, my first call with that new staff, yeah.
Do you ever find out where these schools get that info from you? Like, where did he find out about you?
That's a good question. I don't really remember. I think he kind of just maybe stumbled across my highlights, like, after my junior year. but like I said, I mean, he kind of got there really fast because after he finished up with that other class, the 23 class, because they got there in like December, and I was getting that call in January. But that's a good question. I don't really know.
One of the things I had Brian Smith on. Yeah, that stuff always interests me, by the way. But I had Brian Smith on, who does a lot of recruiting talk, a lot of stuff nationally. And he watched your film with me. We talked about you, and he said, this kid is so good, but he's maybe not playing the highest level of competition. Like maybe that it's a player in Texas or Florida would. Do you hear that? And does that kind of put a bit of a chip on your shoulder that it's almost like South Dakota football? It's not at the same level.
Yeah. I guess those are things that I hear. But it doesn't really bother me too much. I mean, I know the kind of player I am, and I know that this jump from South Dakota high school football to Wisconsin next month's like, maybe I'm gonna be struggling at some points, and that's kind of something that I went through with Coach Mitch. And it's not going to be all butterflies and rainbows. Like I'm gonna have some tough times. I'm gonna maybe have some moments when I don't think that I'm always the best anymore. And that's kind of with every high school player making that next jump. And but that's kind of something that I understand. Like I'm going to be taking a big jump, and I need to be ready for it mentally, especially. And I know that being at Wisconsin, my skills are going to be developed. But South Dakota, like they got some dudes in South Dakota that play football, so just don't forget that.
There's no doubt about it. Like as you mentioned, North Dakota, South Dakota, like those are big time. They're FCS programs, but they're big time programs.
Totally. Yeah.
I want to ask you this. So you started off as a quarterback, right? Like originally you played a lot of quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
You think that's kind of why you fell under the radar a little bit?
I don't really know. Maybe a little bit. I mean, coming from South Dakota, that might do it a little bit too. But my freshman year, I was a quarterback, and then I transferred schools because we had a new school that got built up in my district. So I went there, and the quarterback that was at my old school went too. So I kind of sat in the backup. My sophomore year didn't really, wasn't going to play. But then I kind of, that summer I got into being a linebacker really because I needed to find a spot in the field for me to play. And that's kind of when I really fell in love with the game again. I mean, quarterback was always kind of stressful. And I remember playing linebacker my sophomore year and got on the field. And then my junior year, I really started to figure out what I was doing. And that's kind of when it took off.
Two-part question. A, do you kind of miss playing quarterback, having the ball in your hands all the time? And then B, how does that help you as a linebacker, kind of maybe understanding the offensive side a little bit more?
No, I don't miss having the ball in my hand. Quarterback was stressful. I mean, it was good while it lasted, but I like playing defense. And that question, the second question, I've kind of been asked maybe a little bit, but I don't really know. I mean, I know that quarterback maybe gave me some background knowledge, of offense and of football, but I really only played it, my freshman, sophomore year. I didn't really have that much understanding of, coverages and what I was doing. But yeah.
But you do not miss taking the snap and having.
Nah. I had a few times my junior and senior year where I was kind of at a wildcat, and so I still kind of had the ball in my hands, but it's not. I don't feel most comfortable there. That's for sure.
You must have so you're a former baseball guy too. Your dad was a baseball guy. You must have a cannon though, right?
I mean, a little bit. I could probably throw a football 50 or 60 yards.
Okay, it's pretty good. But yeah, better.
Not the best spiral, maybe.
I love it. All right, we're going to take one more tiny quick break, then come back and just finish off with the lightning round, a couple more questions that people wanted to ask Thomas. So we'll be right back with Thomas Heiberger. All right, thank you, everybody, for tuning into the show. It's always awesome when we get these recruits on. And let's just continue on with the show. Let's finish up with some of the questions that you guys had. Thomas, this is from Jared. It says, which players or commits are you most excited to play with?
Well, I'm rooming with Nailu, so I'm really looking forward to playing with him. I actually haven't met him yet, but being in the same room together, I think that's going to be huge. Kind of going through that freshman phase together, and also competing with each other really. So I'd say I'm looking forward to meeting him and playing with him. Other guys, I'm looking forward to see Colin again, going against him and the rest of the O-line guys, Kevin and those dudes. I'm hoping that we can make each other better. Those dudes for sure.
This is from Tri Glasson. Teams you're most looking forward to playing during your time at Wisconsin?
I'm definitely looking forward to playing Iowa, Nebraska, just because those two are close to my hometown. A lot of fans in South Dakota for those two schools. And then I'm really pumped for the Alabama games. I think those are going to be sweet. And then with the Big Ten teams coming in, Oregon, Washington, USC, UCLA. I think those games are going to be sweet, going off to the West Coast and playing there, and then coming here as well. And then can't forget about, Ohio State and Michigan and Penn State. So, I mean, the Big Ten is going to be legit, so I'm looking forward to playing everyone.
That's a loaded slate, man. Where are your family's loyalties at? Who did they grow up rooting for? Like your dad, your mom?
Yeah, we never really kind of had, we weren't really never Nebraska fans. We lived in Omaha when I was really young. So maybe Nebraska a little bit, but both my parents went to South Dakota State, so that's kind of who I was cheering for. Still do, and they're legit. So, so kind of just as you, yeah.
This is from TC's. Just curious, what are you at lifting wise now? Like from an athletic standpoint?
Sure. Lifts, I really haven't maxed out really since kind of before our last football season. But I think back then I was squatting about 450. Cleaning about 300 and benching about 300 as well.
And then I know you and I talked about this before the show, but he also wondered if you're planning on enrolling early. You said you are.
Yes, I'm enrolling early. Mm-hmm.
How difficult was that decision for you to kind of so obviously a lot of your friends in high school, your teammates are still going to be in there going through their process.
Yeah, so that decision, I remember kind of going through my official visit in the summer and kind of even before that. And I knew I had the credits to be able to graduate early. And so I remember having a lot of people kind of asking me, you're going to graduate early? Are you going to go in early? And I was always I don't know. But kind of in the back of my mind, I was yeah, I'm going to go early. It was kind of an easy decision for me because I kind of just thought, would I rather play football or would I rather play basketball and baseball and track again? And it was just that was an easy decision for me. So
what are your goals for year one?
I mean, my goal is to get ready to play, obviously. But I think the biggest thing for me is just getting after it with Coach Collins in the weight room and getting my body to the best, physical condition that I can be so I can be ready for spring ball and fall camp.
You've seen Squat Fest, right?
Yeah.
You ready?
Mm-hmm, yeah, that's going to be sweet.
In 3 years or 4 years, or however many years you're in Madison, when you look back, what do you want your legacy in Wisconsin to be?
That's a good question. I remember talking about that at a presentation that Monique Felix had, who's been helping us with all of our kind of enrollment stuff and getting ready to, to get to Wisconsin. I remember she was talking about J.J. Watt, and I mean, that's the goal is to, be remembered like J.J. Watt was. I mean, that dude, him and T.J. were dogs at Wisconsin. And so, I mean, just to be remembered as, a great player like that and also kind of the leader that he was, just to be remembered like that. I mean, that's definitely the goal.
Can you help us beat Ohio State again? Because that's the last time we beat them.
Mm-hmm.
J.J. Watt had 2 sacks in that game.
Yeah, that was – I've seen those highlights, man. He was crazy. I mean, that's definitely the goal, beat Ohio State.
How about academics? I know academics is a big part to you. You're a great student. What are you looking at in Wisconsin?
As far as my major, I'm still undecided. I kind of really don't know what I want to do. But, yeah, my school now, I mean, school's kind of always come easy for me. I get my work done and stuff like that. But I think that Wisconsin, gives me a good opportunity to discover what I want to do next in life. And they have a lot of different options and a lot of different people to help me on the way. So that's big for me. And that's, also a big reason why I chose Wisconsin.
All right. You ready for a quick lightning round? Last few questions?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Let's see. Let me pull these up. I apologize. Here they are. Comfort food. When you need something good to eat.
Goldfish.
Ice fishing, yay or nay?
Yeah. Although I don't catch anything.
What would be your hidden talent, man? Something outside of athletics.
I can solve Rubik's Cubes.
That's incredible. My son tried. I can't at all. What's the worst game you've ever played?
The worst game I've ever played. My worst game I ever played is probably this year. I probably had our game in week 3 against the President's Bowl. We played the best team in the state who ended up winning state, and I didn't play my best game. I was coming off 2 games where I had basically rolled both of my ankles, so I was really hobbling on the field, and I thought I was giving it my best, which I kind of was. But I remember looking back on that tape and thinking that I probably shouldn't have been out there.
How do you when something like that happens for you? Because again, you being an athlete as good as you are. You have more successes than failures on the field. But how do you deal with adversity when something doesn't go right?
Totally. I mean, it was tough. I mean, I remember we lost that game probably 40 points, 50 points, and it was horrible. I mean, that was a game, too, where we were playing the 1 seed, but we were also the 2. I expected to go out there and win the game, and then when you come back and you walk back to the locker room after losing by 40, it's not fun. But we definitely got after it after that practice. And I remember that Monday right after the game, I felt like we really came together as a team to just like what our coaches had put through and just players stepping up. And I think that was really huge.
Biggest role model in your life?
My biggest role model are my parents. My parents are divorced, so I have 4. I have step parents as well, and just all of them just helping me, get raised and looking up to them my whole life. And so that's how it's probably always going to be for me.
Last question here. When you're done in Wisconsin, we already did that one. What is your message for Wisconsin fans?
My message for Wisconsin fans is that I'm going to give you everything that I have, and I look forward to playing in the future. I don't know when, but I'm going to be busting my butt until I get there, and I don't plan on going anywhere, and that I'm going to give everything that I have.
That's awesome, man. He is Thomas Heiberger, 24 outside linebacker coming in from South Dakota. We have your Twitter down there. Anywhere else people can follow you or anything else you have going on?
I have an Instagram, Thomas Heiberger. But yeah, that's about it.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for jumping in. Can't wait to see you in Madison. For everybody tuning in, thank you so much for watching as well. On Wisconsin, we'll talk later. That's it?
Sweet.
Dude, that's awesome. You're great.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you for having me.
No, dude, how many interviews do you do? Like,